Excuse me, I'm Leslie Muley, and last year I asked a question about bonuses that the administration was receiving, the superintendent, and I'm not sure, I don't remember exactly my question, and I used the word bonus, and you answered no, that I am not receiving a bonus. Then I found out that the word is incentive. And this is where the problem is, that people are asking a question and I'm using the wrong word. I found it insulting that you said no to me when really you were receiving an incentive.
I do not have a bonus nor an incentive in my contract. I took a freeze this year. There is no bonus nor is there an incentive in my contract. Zero. It's not there.
Is that the case last year too? Was that the case last year as well?
There is no bonus in my contract. There is no incentive in my contract. There was a guaranteed minimum raise in my contract which I declined. I took a one-year freeze.
Thank you.
There was no intention of hiding behind words. When I said no last year, whether you call it a bonus, an incentive, a payment of any sort, it does not exist.
You were not the one that answered the question.
Okay.
Who was?
You were.
And I'll stand by what I said. Please come in and look at my contract. It's public knowledge. There is no bonus. There is no incentive. I took a freeze.
Well, as I said, I don't remember the question, and it's not worth going over right now, but this is what I mentioned earlier, just to be clear and honest, that's all. Be transparent. That's the word that
we have been
I hear a lot.
Very transparent.
My contract is approved by the county superintendent. It is available on the internet. You can come in and look at it. There is a segment that public can comment on it. That would seem to me to be a large degree of transparency. I took zero increase.
Should be claps upon that.
Maria Castro was my Central High School teacher. I think a year or 2 years ago, I'm not sure about it, maybe tops 3 years ago, and I believe it was a daily record, and show averages of teacher salaries and administrators in all New Jersey. Why our administrators in this high school, the average of our administrators' salaries was the highest, was one of the highest in the whole state, but the average of the teacher's salary in this school was not equipped to that. So maybe that is the reason why nobody's taking like a freeze in incentives. If you already are on the top, it makes sense they stay there.
I guess it wouldn't be polite for me to comment on their respective ages or how long they've been in the district, and that's a function of how much they're making. And in comparison to other districts, we have a much more experienced pool of administrators. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah. One last comment. They were talking, Jean Kruger from Long Valley. They were talking about how, one guy was talking about how we should be marketing, you guys should maybe marketing our pluses for the schools and what the teachers do get and don't get or whatever. I think that's a good idea. But on the other hand, when I went to vote last year and I'm talking to people around me, I was talking to some people who did not have kids in the school system. One was because they had kids in private school, and they didn't care what the budget was. They were voting it down. So I don't know how you reach any of those people, or people that don't have kids in the systems yet, or people that are retired, because they didn't. There's a couple of people I talked to around me that did not have kids in the systems, especially the ones that were sending their kids to private school. They could care less. They just were like, we're going to vote it down every single year because we don't have kids and it doesn't affect us. So I don't know how you guys go about reaching any of those people, but it would be good if you can get some of those people to turn, if you can because people don't know what's going on.
And that is.
And they're not going to check your website.
Right, that's
They're
all
not coming to the school website if they don't have kids in the school.
Absolutely.
So there needs to be a better way to go out and reach these people.
I agree, and that's always a challenge, and back when times were better and before state laws changed, we did send out information to every voter. We can't do that anymore, we can't afford to. So if people don't come to meetings, if they don't check websites or talk to neighbors, we're kind of, if they don't want to avail themselves of the information, we're kind of out of luck, and we really honestly rely on people like you to go and talk to those people and maybe help convince them otherwise.
Well, it didn't work.
It was a tough year, it didn't work for a lot of people. Yes.
Melissa Stern, Westmore Central. So clearly we're all on the same page and we need to pass the budget. I would like to just throw out there a suggestion that that maybe we need to get a group of people together, not the board working by itself and the teachers association working by itself and parents kind of trying to work on their own. That maybe we do need to come together in some much more formalized way to figure out how to get the budget passed this year. And that needs to start immediately because April is not very far away.
January 31st is our next open public finance committee meeting. It's at Mendham High School at 7 o'clock. And the more people who come and see what's in the budget, how the budget's built or taken apart, as the case might be, the better.
I will be there.
Okay, great, thanks.
Michelle Ricardell, last comment. I just want to say that this is one of my, I think it's like the second or third meeting I've attended, but I've always throughout the years attended the K through 8s. And I think that if people are unaware of what's going on, it's nobody's fault but their own. It is out there. It is out there at PTO meetings. It is out there on the internet. It is out there when we used to have newsletters at school. There is no excuse not to know when the budget is, when the meetings are. You can't go through life expecting somebody to hold your hand. If you're truly interested, you need to make the commitment. You need to find out. You need to come. I know that my friend Leslie has many a time hosted people at her house, hosted people that were running for board positions, hosted people that were willing and able to answer any and all questions about the budget, and people don't come. They don't. I don't know how many parents are at this meeting, and I don't mean to be preachy because I don't make them all myself, but people don't come, and if they don't come, they're not going to know what's going on, and you can't complain if you don't come.
Well said, thank you. Any other questions?
Kathy Colton with Farm Central. How is the fact finding funded? How, is that a fee that we pay to the state?
Yes, it's a fee paid to the state and both sides pay for it.
So the teachers union pay through the unions, and then the only comes from the budget taxpayers.
Out of our budget.
What's that?
Out of our budget. Out of legal. Tax is where the line items would be.
Any other questions?
Mike Frito, negotiator with the teachers union. As long as we're trying to get informed here tonight, and I do this hesitatingly because I'd rather not really negotiate this out in public, let's just ask some questions that might help us understand about getting inside the 2% box. Because it's been thrown out there over and over and over again. And I suppose it really is an important box to get inside of. It used to be 4%, now it's 2%. The bottom line is, as you look at all the different things that get to that, are some of the numbers bigger than 2%? I mean, transportation bigger than 2%?
No, this year.
Heating?
Potentially.
Okay. So there are a number of things that are larger than 2%. Health benefits, some of them are way larger than 2%, yes? Some of them are negative. Some of them are negative 8%. So we have a whole bunch of numbers, plus 12%, 15%, minus 6%, 4%. Things fall where they fall. But for some reason, there seems to be belief that our number can't be higher than 2. Other things might be bigger than 2, but our salary is stuck at 2. Let's talk about the reality of a 2% settlement. You guys are mandated by the mayors and those people to make sure you help the line on salary. You did a great job with that. I mean, I would say it was probably as painless as it could be, except if you got sliced, then I guess it was as painful if you lost a job. But whatever rate, there were 35 jobs that were initially announced as being let go. We agreed on a payroll for the year before we started the process, and I guess the payroll, Doug, is, that we agreed on base is, how many million?
For just the,
For the negotiation process, they agreed on base, it's 18 million, isn't it?
yeah.
Okay, so the reality of the matter is, when you take away 35 positions that were lost, not all of them are teachers, when you take away the breakage of people that retired, you do all those things that you did, and you did a good job at it, we could sell for 5%, and we're not going to end up with $18 million in salary. Our box, the truth of the matter is, our box is not going to be over 2%. We have $2.1 million worth of breakage in the last 2 years. We have retirements all over the place. You did your job, we can get a 2% raise or a 3% raise, and we are still not going to exceed that magic number of 2%, in spite of the fact that there's going to be an awful lot of other numbers along the way that are over 2%. That's a fact.
And Mike,
I'd like Doug to address this.
Mike, and I understand exactly what you're talking about. From a mathematical perspective, you're right.
Thank you.
However, within the confines of the statutes of the state of New Jersey, we only get to work within a footprint of 12 months, July 1 to June 30th. And the minute that June 30th rolls around, any money that I may have had from prior year disappears. Now keep in mind that we lost $2 million in state aid when we began this fiscal year. So that $2 million that you're thinking that we have tucked away somewhere was taken away from us in the form of reduced state aid. So it's very difficult for, I mean, I wish I had a savings account that I could say the money was there, but it's not there.
It really comes down to...
And the 35 positions was before the budget defeat, and after
It still comes
those
down to
35 positions
our
were gone,
salary.
we had $550,000 removed from our budget by the town fathers.
And it comes down to a priority on safety. In some ways, I suppose it is a business. The bottom line is, I'm trying to express the fact that the component along the way that makes up our salary is in all probability going to be lower than it was before. We seem to be still be getting throwing that 2% number up in our face. The bottom line is, there was some breakage. You did a good job with the trimming that you had to do. I would suppose I would have to give you that. The bottom line is, there are numbers along the way that are higher than 2%. And to simply say, there's a 2% cap, we can't give you any more than that, is misleading. That's my feeling.
And that's the largest component of our budget, as Mr. Schramm said earlier. Between the health benefits and the payroll, and not just for